Thank you both for the overview of the personal narrative framework. At this point, I would like to comment on the framework and how it helped me understand the important aspects of our stories. I would say that of the five main narratives in the book, the one I most identified with was Alice, who is biracial with an African American mother and white father. Alice was a senior undergraduate student at Azusa Pacific University. Now I'd like to share a part of her story and describe how the narrative framework helped me understand her story better. The program I was in did not emphasize race or diversity, so I set out to have the conversations and share ideas with people and friends of different backgrounds. As an example, one of my best friends is a very dark skinned, grew up in an Asian country. She introduced me to the term colorism and told me that when she goes back home to visit family, they make fun of her for having dark skin and tell her to use different soaps and lotions to lighten her skin. In comparison, I spoke to her about being aware of my own skin color growing up. As a light skinned girl in the Black community, I have advantages that dark brothers and sisters don't have, whether it's in white or other communities trusting me more because of my skin tone, or whether my beauty is being epitomized or fetishized as an object of exoticness. It's been really cool to have some different conversations on topics like these. End quote. So from this quote, I gained an understanding of Alice's self-motivation to explore ethnic and cultural issues. I also gained insight on her experience of discrimination based on skin color. Alice's story is presented and developed throughout the first few chapters of the text. And in chapter 4, the book presents a summary of key stories, beliefs, values, schemas, and emotions as part of her racial narrative framework in the context of her college experience. Now I would like to walk through these components of Alice's story in the context of the framework that Dr. Bledsoe previously introduced. Here, I will highlight some of the notations you are seeing in the illustration on the screen. The book discusses that Alice grew up in a predominantly white community and her parents did not emphasize the importance of cultural identity. As seen on the illustration here, Alice formed the beliefs that it was inappropriate to discuss race and that assimilation was more ideal than accepting and expressing her cultural uniqueness. Despite the fact that these topics were not openly discussed, Alice was still part of a healthy and loving family growing up. Therefore, the values represented on this illustration include harmony, scholarship, education, and being faithful to others, as those were particularly important to her in guiding her actions. Unfortunately, Alice experienced discrimination and microaggressions because she looked different from most others in her community. Therefore, on the illustration, some of the emotions within her racial narrative framework include joy associated with being with her friends, but also shame due to standing out from the majority in her environment. From Alice's inability to openly discuss ethnic and cultural topics at home to the discrimination she faced resulting from societal labels, the schemas found on the illustration, including that parental love is conditional and that African Americans can be targets of racial biases, were included in her framework. These schemas illustrate how Alice internalized her feelings of shame, resulting in issues of self worth and her belief that being Black was a dishonorable family quality. Overall, I would say that Alice's framework also helped me understand key aspects of my own background. I found myself intentionally reflecting on my own experiences and stories throughout the book.